Most lemon growers wait months, even years, for their trees to flower. And they have absolutely no idea that one simple ingredient sitting in almost every home or garden shed is the reason their trees stay stubbornly green and flowerless all season long. And the trees that are flowering and fruiting heavily, their growers figured this out quietly, and they're not talking about it. If you're serious about growing lemons that actually produce heavy blooms, strong fruit set year after year, then hit that subscribe button right now. Every week on this channel, I share real field-tested lemon growing tips that actually work in your garden, not just in a lab somewhere. This is practical knowledge from someone who has grown lemons through every season and every mistake. You need this in your feed. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what that one ingredient is, why it works on a biological level, how professional growers use it strategically, and I'm going to walk you through the process step by step so you can apply it to your own trees. Starting this week, by the end of this video, your lemon tree will never confuse you again. You'll know exactly what it needs and when, and flowering will no longer feel like a mystery or a gamble. Let's start with the real situation most lemon growers find themselves in, because I want you to understand that if your lemon tree has refused to flower, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not doing everything wrong. Most people are actually doing most things right. The watering is decent. The sunlight is there. The soil isn't terrible. Maybe they even fertilized a couple of times. And yet nothing. No buds, no blossoms, just thick, glossy leaves and silence. That is one of the most frustrating experiences in growing, because visually the tree looks healthy. It's green. It's growing, but it has absolutely no interest in reproducing, which at the end of the day is all flowering and fruiting really is. The tree's way of reproducing. Here's what most growers don't realize. A lemon tree that is too comfortable will not flower. Read that again. Too comfortable. When a tree has everything it needs, consistent warmth, regular water, steady nutrients, no stress, it goes into what I call a growth comfort zone. It just keeps producing leaves and branches. It's thriving vegetatively, and vegetative growth and reproductive growth, flowering, are actually competing with each other inside the plant. The tree is essentially making a decision every single day. Do I keep growing or do I start reproducing? And if everything is too comfortable and too consistent, it chooses to keep growing. It doesn't feel any urgency to flower. It doesn't feel any pressure to produce fruit and seeds to carry on the next generation. Why would it? Life is good. Resources are flowing. There's no signal telling it that anything needs to change. This is the core mistake I see from backyard growers all the way up to small-scale commercial growers who are just starting out. They treat their lemon trees the same way all year round. Same watering schedule in summer and in winter. Same fertilizer application every month without thinking about what the tree is being told by that feeding. Same ambient conditions, same soil moisture, same everything. And they expect the tree to flip a switch and suddenly flower. That's not how a lemon tree thinks. That's not how any fruit tree thinks. These trees evolved over tens of thousands of years in environments where seasons changed, where drought happened, where nutrients were not always available on a predictable schedule. That stress, those changes, are what trigger reproduction. Because when conditions get harder, the tree's survival instinct says, I need to make seeds now while I still can. Now here's where the science comes in, and I promise I'll keep this simple and useful. No textbook language, just what you actually need to understand. Inside every lemon tree, there are two hormonal processes that are always in some kind of balance. And that balance determines whether your tree flowers. The first is cytokinin activity. This is the hormone that drives cell division and vegetative growth. Leaves, branches, roots, all of that is cytokinin territory. The second is a flowering signal called phloragen, which is triggered through a combination of environmental stress cues and specific nutrient availability. For phloragen to kick in and tell the tree to form flower buds, cytokinin activity needs to slow down, and certain stress signals need to reach the growing tips of the branches. Phosphorus plays a massive role in this process. When phosphorus is available in the right form and at the right time, it directly supports root energy conversion and signals the tree to shift from vegetative growth toward reproductive development. But, and this is critical, the form phosphorus comes in matters enormously. Most standard fertilizers deliver nitrogen heavily, which keeps cytokinin activity high and keeps the tree in vegetative mode. Phosphorus often gets neglected, or it's delivered in a slow-release form that the tree can't mobilize quickly enough to create a strong hormonal shift. The ingredient that changes all of this, the one thing that can trigger flowering in a stubborn lemon tree surprisingly fast, is monopotassium phosphate, commonly known as MKP. If you've never heard of it, that's okay. Most home growers haven't, but commercial citrus growers know it well. MKP is a fully water-soluble compound that delivers high-concentration phosphorus and potassium directly into the plant system, incredibly fast. There's no waiting for soil microbes to break it down. There's no slow release. When you dissolve MKP in water and apply it correctly, the tree receives a strong, clear nutrient signal within days. And that signal, combined with a slight reduction in nitrogen, tells the tree to stop focusing on leaves and start forming buds. I've seen lemon trees that sat flowerless for 2 full seasons respond to a properly timed MKP application with visible bud formation within 3 to 4 weeks. That's not a miracle. That's just chemistry working the way lemon trees were always designed to respond. Let me now walk you through exactly how professional growers do this, step by step, so you can replicate it precisely. Step 1 is what I call the stress preparation phase, and this begins 2 weeks before you ever apply MKP. You need to reduce nitrogen inputs completely during this window. If you've been feeding your tree with a balanced fertilizer or anything high in nitrogen, stop. No nitrogen for 2 weeks. This allows the existing nitrogen in the soil to get used up by the tree's ongoing metabolic processes, and it causes a gentle, controlled stress that begins to shift the hormonal balance inside the tree. You're not trying to starve the tree. You're not trying to damage it. You're just removing the constant keep growing vegetatively signal that nitrogen delivers. At the same time, cut back on watering slightly, not dramatically, not to the point where leaves start curling or dropping, but reduce frequency by about 20 to 30%. If you were watering every 3 days, go to every 4 or 5. This slight moisture stress works hand in hand with the reduced nitrogen to begin telling the tree that conditions are changing, and it may be time to think about reproduction. Step 2 is the MKP application itself. After 2 weeks of the stress preparation phase, you'll mix MKP at a rate of about 3 to 5 g per liter of water. Use clean room temperature water. Stir it well until it's completely dissolved. MKP dissolves readily and the solution should be clear with no particles. Apply this solution as a drench directly to the root zone of the tree. For a tree in a container, apply until you see it draining from the bottom. For a tree in the ground, apply generously around the entire drip line area, which is roughly the area under the outer edge of the canopy where feeder roots are most active. Do not apply to dry soil. Water the tree lightly first. If the soil is very dry, wait an hour and then apply the MKP solution. This ensures better absorption and prevents any potential salt stress from the concentrated mineral hitting dry roots. Step 3 is the foliar component, and this is where most home growers leave serious results on the table by skipping it. After your soil drench, prepare a separate lighter MKP solution at 1 to 2 g per liter and apply it as a foliar spray directly onto the leaves and growing tips of the tree. Do this in the early morning or late evening. Never in full midday sun because the droplets can act as magnifying lenses and cause leaf burn. The foliar application works differently from the soil drench. It bypasses the roots entirely and delivers phosphorus and potassium directly into the leaf tissue where it can be translocated to the growing shoot tips within hours. This 1-2 combination soil drench and foliar spray is exactly what commercial operations use before a critical flowering window. It's fast, it's efficient, and it works. Step 4 is the follow-up window, which runs from day 7 to day 14 after your initial application. During this time, watch the tree closely, keep nitrogen away, maintain the slightly reduced watering schedule. You may apply a second lighter round of MKP foliar spray at day 7 if you want to reinforce the signal. What you're looking for during this window are the early signs that the process is working. You should start to see the growing tips slow down in their leafy growth. Instead of pushing new bright green leaves, the tips may look slightly more compact, slightly more restrained. This is a good sign. This is the tree changing gears internally. In some cases, particularly in trees that are already at a good age and have a healthy root system. You'll start to see the earliest signs of bud formation at these tips within 10 to 21 days. Step 5 is what happens after flowering begins. This is where growers often make a second mistake that costs them a significant portion of their fruit set. Once you see buds forming, you can reintroduce nitrogen, but do it gently and at low levels. A light seaweed or fish-based liquid feed works beautifully here because it provides balanced, naturally chelated nutrients without flooding the system with synthetic nitrogen. You want to support the tree as it expends significant energy, producing flowers, forming pollen, and eventually setting fruit. Potassium remains important throughout this phase, so you can continue occasional light MKP applications at half strength to maintain that potassium support without the phosphorus becoming excessive. Now, I want to stop here for a moment because I'm genuinely curious about where you are in this journey. Drop a comment below right now and tell me, has your lemon tree ever flowered for you? If it has, write yes bloomed. If you've been struggling to get any flowers at all, write still waiting. I read every comment on this channel, and knowing where you are helps me make videos that actually answer the questions you're dealing with in your own garden. So take 2 seconds. Yes, bloomed or still waiting. Drop it in the comments right now. I want to hear from you. Let me now talk about what this looks like in a real-world field scenario, because I think it helps to visualize this process on an actual tree rather than in the abstract. Imagine you're standing in front of a lemon tree. Let's say it's about 3 years old, planted in the ground. Growing in a warm climate with good sun exposure, it's a decent-sized tree, maybe 1.5 meters tall with a nice spread of branches. The leaves are a beautiful deep green. The tree looks strong, but for the past season, nothing. No buds, no flowers, no fruit. The first thing you'd notice if you looked closely at the growing tips is that they're actively pushing new growth. Small, bright green, tender new leaves unfurling regularly. That's your visual confirmation that the tree is locked in vegetative mode. Lots of energy going into canopy expansion, very little going toward reproduction. Now look at the overall structure of the tree. Are there older, more mature branches, ones that have stopped actively growing and are just sitting there with mature, dark green leaves? Those are actually your most likely flowering sites when the hormonal shift happens. The buds will form at the nodes on these more mature branches, not at the actively growing young tips. Keep that in mind as you apply your MKP program, because it helps you know where to direct your foliar spray for maximum effect. Target those mature secondary branches, not just the outer canopy. After you've completed the stress preparation phase and applied your first MKP drench and foliar spray, come back to your tree every 2 to 3 days and just observe. Don't obsess, don't overcheck. But look, you're watching for any change in the color or texture of those mature branch tips. You might notice a very slight thickening at certain nodes, small, tight, green bumps that weren't there before. Those are emerging buds. They start incredibly small, sometimes just 1 millimeter or 2, and they can be easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Once you see them, you'll feel a surge of excitement that every grower knows. That moment when you realize the tree has finally shifted and the season is about to change on that tree. Those buds will swell over the following days. You'll see them push apart slightly and begin to show the white of the petals inside. The fragrance will follow soon after. And if you've ever been near a lemon tree in full bloom, you know that smell is absolutely extraordinary. There's almost nothing better in a garden. Rich, sweet, citrus blossom. It carries on the air for meters in every direction. That's your reward for doing this right now. I want to share something that most growers never find out, and I want you to pay close attention here, because this is the part of the video that will genuinely separate your results from everyone else's. This is what I call the golden tip, and it took me years of observation and a conversation with an experienced citrus grower in a commercial operation before I truly understood it. The timing of your MKP application in relation to the tree's natural temperature exposure is just as important as the application itself. Here's the insight. Lemon trees and all citrus trees have a built-in flowering trigger that is activated by a period of cooler nighttime temperatures, typically below 15 degrees C, sustained over 10 to 20 nights. This is called a chilling requirement, And even warm climate lemons have a mild version of it. What this means in practice is that the single most powerful time to apply your MKP program is at the end of your coolest season, just as temperatures are starting to rise again in spring. At this exact moment, the tree has already received its chilling signal. Its internal clock is primed and ready to shift toward flowering. It just needs the nutritional nudge to actually make it happen. If you apply MKP during this window, right as your nighttime temperatures are climbing back above 50 degrees after a cool spell, you are essentially pushing on a door that is already almost open. The results are dramatically faster and more reliable than if you apply MKP randomly in the middle of summer when no chilling has occurred. This is why some growers apply MKP and see almost nothing happen. They're applying at the wrong point in the tree's natural cycle. And this is why commercial growers who time their MKP applications to coincide with the post-chilling window get spectacular, reliable flowering responses year after year. If you live in a climate where you don't get significant temperature drops, true tropical conditions, then you can simulate the stress component through more aggressive water stress and root zone cooling. But the principle remains the same. The tree needs a reason to flower, and that reason is a change in conditions, followed by the right nutritional signal. That's the golden tip. Temperature timing plus MKP application. Learn that combination, apply it consistently, and your lemon tree will reward you season after season. Before I close out, I want to make sure you're not undoing all of this good work by making some very common errors that I see repeatedly, even from growers who understand the basic principle but get tripped up in the details. The first mistake is applying MKP in high concentration in a single application and expecting faster results. More is not better here. An overly concentrated MKP drench can create osmotic stress in the root zone that actually shuts the tree down rather than stimulating it. Stick to the 3 to 5 G per liter for soil application. The foliar spray should be even lighter. Repeat applications at correct concentration beat single megadoses every single time. The second mistake is returning to high nitrogen fertilizer too soon after flowering begins. I cannot emphasize this enough. The moment you flood the tree with nitrogen when buds are just forming, you risk triggering a return to vegetative growth that causes bud drop. The buds fall off before they ever open. This is heartbreaking when it happens, and it's entirely avoidable. Stay away from high nitrogen products until you have open flowers and confirmed fruit set, and even then introduce nitrogen gradually. The third mistake is applying foliar spray in the wrong conditions. Full sun, midday, high heat. These conditions will burn your leaves and stress the tree at the exact moment you're trying to help it. Always do your foliar work in early morning before the sun is strong or in the evening after the heat of the day has passed. The leaf stomata, the tiny pores that absorb the foliar spray, are more open in these conditions, and you'll get better uptake with no risk of burn. The fourth mistake is giving up too early. Some trees, particularly older trees that have been in long-term vegetative mode, may need 2 rounds of the MKP program across 2 consecutive appropriate windows before they respond. Don't treat a lack of immediate response as failure. Treat it as information. If the first cycle doesn't produce visible buds, assess your timing. Were you aligned with the post-chilling window? Was the stress preparation adequate? Adjust and try again the following season. The biology is on your side. The tree wants to flower. You're just learning to speak its language. And the fifth mistake, and this one sounds almost too simple to matter, but it really does, is neglecting overall tree health in pursuit of flowering. MKP is a powerful tool, but it works best on a tree that has good root health, no significant pest or disease pressure, and reasonable overall nutrition. If your tree has root rot, scale insects, or severe micronutrient deficiencies, no amount of MKP is going to push it into healthy bloom. Fix the fundamentals first, then apply the flowering strategy on top of a healthy foundation. You came into this video wondering why your lemon tree won't flower, and I hope you're leaving it with something far more valuable than just a product name. You now understand the why behind the problem, the comfort zone, the vegetative lock, the hormonal balance. You understand the science, phosphorus signaling, florigen, the role of nitrogen reduction. You have a step-by-step professional approach you can begin implementing this week. And you have the golden timing insight that makes the difference between average results and exceptional ones. That's real knowledge. That's the kind of understanding that changes not just this season, but how you'll grow lemons for the rest of your life. If this video gave you something genuinely useful, if you learned something you hadn't heard before, then please consider joining this community by hitting that subscribe button. Every week, I dig into topics exactly like this one. The deeper why behind lemon tree behavior, the professional techniques that work in real gardens, the honest information that helps you get more from every tree you grow. Don't miss what's coming. This channel is building into something really valuable for anyone serious about citrus, and I want you to be part of it. And speaking of what's coming, next week I'm going to take everything we discussed today and apply it specifically to mandarin trees, which have some fascinating differences in their flowering triggers compared to lemons. Mandarins are some of the most rewarding fruit trees you can grow, but they have their own quirks when it comes to getting them to bloom consistently. And I've got a specific technique that commercial mandarin growers use that I've never seen explained properly on YouTube. You will not want to miss that one. It's going to be worth the wait. I'll see you there. If this guide on triggering lemon blossoms has changed the way you look at your citrus grove, please subscribe and like the video. We are uncovering the horticultural secrets that often stay hidden in commercial fields. Let's cultivate a more fruitful future together. The next harvest of knowledge will be ready for you very soon.